Hey guys, welcome to the A-Space, and today we're going to be talking about Just a Robot. This story will reveal how Jar became the internet's punching bag or laughingstock. So without further ado, let's get into it. The story has its proper introduction with only just starting just a few weeks ago. Like many other content creators before, Jar would officially throw his hat in the ring into covering the Cinebear 03 drama. Get ready for the next video, everyone. Audio is done, just need to work on the editing. Had a chat with Cinebear, looks like things aren't as clear-cut as they once seemed. I will be reaching out to Jack soon. I'm more than likely going to be pushing my Cinebear 03 video back. Something doesn't feel right, and I'm going to interview to get all the sides. I know she admitted to being a groomer, but so did Spockter. I just want to make sure 100% that all my info is right. I'm not gonna lie, when I saw most of these tweets for the first time, I didn't really think anything that crazy. In fact, I thought it was fair because he was talking about going to reach out to both sides before coming to the conclusion that he eventually would come to. But I don't think anything could have ever prepared me for the most horrendous cine coverage I've ever seen in my life coming from Jar. So without further ado, let's start getting into the backlash of the video, and honestly, let's just first go over some points I heavily disagree with this video.
Another person in the ArtCC has been outed as a bad person. Gee, that's surprisingly new. In other news, there's gonna be a sunrise tomorrow morning. That being said, this situation might not be as cut and dry as you once thought.
So the main issue with Jar's video was that they defended and downplayed a lot of serious actions that really should be taken a lot more seriously and should be handled with care when talking about all this stuff. And ultimately, a lot of his points were just weird and bizarre and just came off strange, like this point right here.
Hell, you can demand that these videos are age restricted, but you can't just cancel Cine for this and give everybody else a free pass. Plus, a lot of this stuff is no more inappropriate than things I've seen in animes like Fairy Tail and Naruto. Never forget what you were like when you were a kid. You enjoyed Misty when she was in her bikini, you enjoyed Naruto when he did his sexy jutsu, and you enjoyed when Fairy Tail just did a whole bunch of stuff. So just so we're clear here, back when Cine was 13, 14, and 15, she made animations like this, and just about no one had a problem with a minor making animations like this on the internet. Hell, judging by the view counts these videos got, I would go as far as to say that people encouraged her to keep doing stuff like this.
So yes, there's a few things I want to talk about here. So yes, there was a controversy Cine did have where they did draw minor characters in suggestive ways, and yeah, they were a minor. However, I'm not gonna lie, I would never encourage a minor to draw this kind of stuff. I always find it weird and bizarre. Even if it's normal for the community, it's still weird as hell. And weird animation memes are always gonna blow up in the community. I don't think this is directly like a bunch of adults being like going to a 14-year-old being like, yes, please draw more stuff like this. I love it when kids draw this stuff, because I don't think that's what's happening at all. Sorry for the tangent, but yes, I heavily disagree with like minors drawing like NSFW content, and that should not be normalized or should not happen. So if there's like any chance that you could, I would discourage it if you ever can. And with the other thing he said, like, I'm trying to be as good faith as possible, but that is such a weird thing to say. You all enjoyed Misty in a bikini at some point. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there's like a lot of even logical problems with that situation. Not everyone was even a Pokemon fan, so to be like, come on guys, you all enjoyed this when you were younger, come on, you gotta understand. And it doesn't make you look good when you're defending someone like Cinebear to use that even as a point. Like, that is just such a weird thing to say in general.
But then you have things that are a little bit worse, like her saying to a 13-year-old that she's looking for a not safe for work chatbot to talk to because she's horny. Run away, I've got to. Maybe this is just me, but I don't think you need to be telling 15, 14, and 13-year-olds that you're horny.
Now, I didn't choose this clip because I disagree with like Jar in really much of this place. I think that Cine was like really weird for this decision. I disagree with the framing in the beginning. You see, he frames it as if this was direct DMs with a 13-year-old, which would be severely worse than what actually happened. You see, Cine did ping their whole server, which they didn't age verify a lot of people, which is obviously bad. It wasn't an 18+ server, so to say something of this nature would be really immature and irresponsible of Cine to do in the first place. However, Jar's framing unironically makes her look way worse for it than what actually happened.
Now I know what some of you are gonna say. Well, we're not saying she groomed a 14-year-old to get with them. She just groomed a 14-year-old to be more comfortable with conversations like this so she could coom. Don't get me wrong, I thought that at first, but it turns out that the minor was the one being inappropriate first, and she kept on pestering Cine to talk about stuff like this. It's also important to note that this minor was a fan of Cine's content that includes Scootaloo being in very suggestive outfits, which Cine also made when she was 14. Yes, was, Cindy should not have engaged with this minor. She was the adult in this situation, and what she did was incredibly irresponsible.
Some of the stuff Jar says here is just genuinely insane, like when defending Cindy, it's like, it's not really Cindy's fault, the minor kept pestering them for these conversations. Or how he makes a claim that the point is moot because, what, the minor started it? Like how I said in my previous coverage, this could still be considered grooming because it's normalizing and desensitizing the minor to sexual conversations between a minor and an adult. It doesn't matter if the kid started it or kept going with it, the fact that Cindy engaged with it already makes her 100% in the wrong for this regardless.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little scared of the backlash I'll get from uploading this video. Both my roommate and my girlfriend try to talk me out of uploading it. They think I'm right, but they don't want to see me fight for so long and so hard like I did in the Peaches drama. By the way, Peaches is someone that became a bad person after everything I did for them, so I don't know if Cindy will end up the same way or not, but I have to do what I think is right.
Looking at this clip now, you probably really wish that you listened to exactly what they said. Maybe not for the reasons they gave, but for what happened with the aftermath of the video. And I'm not really sure why, but he always feels like he needs to bring up the Spockers drama and the fucking Peaches drama, which he's been bringing that up for years now. And even if you're not familiar with Jar's content, even with just this video alone, he's literally brought this up several times just because he felt like it. But with that aside, those were just some points I disagree with Jar with his video and everything, but there's an interview that he has with Cindy, so without further ado, let's start getting into those clips.
Question 1, let's just go in the order I asked you them. Did you take your apology down, and if so, why?
I privated it because I'm making a video, kind of going over why I don't believe I'm actually a groomer.
Oh wow! Why don't you think why don't you think you're a groomer? It's because there's legitimately no evidence of you grooming. Is that why you think that?
I will be completely honest. I didn't even consider it to be grooming until Jack told me it was grooming.
Oh my fucking god, of course you did. Of course you did.
You know, I can't really tell what's worse, the defending video or the interview, because this is also a really horrible interview. You could tell Jar had a really biased and narrow-minded view before coming into the interview. And if you watch the interview, you kind of notice a pattern of Jar pretty much walking her and holding her hand to basically get to the answer that he wants her to answer with. But for those of you that don't really understand how Cindy just answered the question, basically the backstory to that is that Cinnabear was only convinced it was grooming because Jack told her it was grooming. Now, sure, Jack ended up maybe being right in the long run. However, Jack basically even thought before this that a 2-year age gap was considered grooming, which that is not the case. Now, before Kumo got involved, Cinnabear never even did any research into what the word grooming even meant. So they basically only admitted it at first, maybe just to try to regain Jack's trust so that they don't leave their apartment. So to make a long story short, Cindy only admitted to it at first, not because they even meant it in any degree, they only were desperately admitting it so that Jack wouldn't leave their apartment. Also, another reason this could be considered a bad interview is because there was no planning or prepping for it. Basically, Jar, as soon as they got a friend request, they called immediately and then had this interview with Cindy.
I came home from work and he was just gone. And then sorry, what?
It's funny to hear a woman say that for once.
I came home from work and he was gone, and then the next morning the police came to my apartment.
Oh no!
For a wellness check, not for anything bad.
Oh, okay.
I woke up to the police at my door, and they were just like, "Hey, heard something was going on with you. Your friend called us here," and I was like, "Oh." And then I looked at my phone and I saw that my real life friend tried calling me multiple times.
I feel like this clip alone just goes to show how unprofessional and immature this call is, and it really just shows to me that Jar was trying to make more of a comedic value out of this rather than trying to have a serious interview. Now, I only found this moment funny, and it's purely unintentional. Obviously, he did not intend for the certain things to be funny. I mean, he literally just laughed at Cindy for someone that they cared about and loved to just leave them, and just turned it into, it's really funny to hear a woman saying that for once. But yes, Jar was clearly not mentally or even physically prepared for this interview at all, and this clip even just shows enough that you need to see about it.
Cindy's mostly just Cindy's not sorry they groomed a minor, they're sorry that Jack is leaving. And Cindy's just upset because Jack's going away, and it's You're mean. You're mean. Go away.
Okay, to be fair, it did seem that's why you were mostly upset, and I understand it.
To be honest, it was mostly why I was upset, because just
yeah. Let's be honest here.
He's my best friend.
Now, this is like one of those really rare moments that I'm very thankful that the interview even happened, everything happened like this, because this was a point I was saying even since like the beginning of the Cinny drama, that Cinny cared more about Jack than what happened with the victim. So even though Jar's whole goal was to try to defend and help Cinny like save their career, what ended up happening is that he made Cinnabear look far worse and even showed that they even contradicted themselves. But of course, now that I'm done just going through everything with the video, let's start getting into the aftermath of everything that's happened with the video.
I'm going off topic for this, but if anyone is going to try to make the allegation that I'm simping for Cinny, I'm not the one giving people $10,000. Giving money to people is closer to simp behavior than not giving them any money at all.
So Jar's video gained a lot of traction from the commentary community, like with people like Chud Logic, and a lot of stuff happened afterwards. Even stuff that would be embarrassing, like Jar and Cindy's DMs being leaked for basically the whole entire internet to see. Some of the DMs would include her saying, "Oh man," and then Jar responding with, "Want to see my cock?" Now, to be a little fair to Jar here, he does send a picture of a rooster and doesn't actually send anything weird. However, it is just really weird to say this in general, in my opinion. Sad emoji. Thank you again for trying to help me. I do or do not. There is no try. Ah, emoji. It's from Star Wars Episode 5 of the OG trilogy. Let's find out. I just need someone to chat with to drift off to sleep. You could just say no. I'll just take that as a no, lol. We weren't going to chat about anything important. I just like talking with anyone as I pass out. Good night. Now, apparently, it is actually true that Jar and Cinnabear did actually have a sleep call, believe it or not.
Did you actually stay on the phone with him while he went to sleep?
I thought I was being a friend. I thought he was trying to be a friend to me.
Did you guys goon together at all?
No, what the fuck?
He didn't make it like in your phone calls with him. You guys didn't do anything freaky.
No, he mostly just talked about fucking like Star Wars and shit.
Only time I have ever heard people sleep on calls with someone is if they are interested in them romantically. That dude is capping. Dude, so true, tipster, so true. I think the only real concerning things about the DMs is it's very obvious Cinny sees Jar as the savior, the person who's gonna save their career, and then Jar just kind of plays into it. But I mean, there's even moments like this where when Jar's talking about making the video, they had Cinny try to make art for the thumbnail. And of course, after this, he doesn't even defend himself in the best way on Chud's stream.
I have a girlfriend. I have no sexual interest in Cinny at all.
But you do, okay, actually, let's say that. Go on.
No, actually, I want to take. No. Okay. Maybe I do have sexual interest in Cinny. I mean, I'm a straight guy, come on. So I'm going to walk back on that, but I have a girlfriend. I'm not. What part of the logs would you like to go over with me?
Blinded you to the reality, and that led you to make these statements to Cinnybear because you were too close to the story. That's what has happened with that.
Now, for moments like this, I'm really trying to give good faith to Jar because I do understand that he's not the best at, speaking when it comes to that stuff. But, I'm really trying to, give him the benefit of the doubt with some of this stuff. But he doesn't really help himself in any way, shape, or form. I mean, he literally just said on live that he had an attraction for someone that he was defending. That obviously messes up the story regardless of what the case is. Now, he does try to justify his stance or take on this. And I'm not going to lie, I don't really think it does him many favors or really benefits him in any way, really, than before.
Okay, I just want to make this clear. I just mean that as in I'm a heterosexual male. I mean, I find many women attractive. I mean, I'm sure you find many women attractive as well.
Of course, but then you've got to make that distinction of, it doesn't matter if you find them attractive or not. You need to literally put that to one side on your head, and it's fucking business mode. Ask the questions, talk to the person, and you clearly didn't do that. You let yourself get wrapped up in it, and were making all these odd, weird comments throughout the call and in the DMs. It's quite manipulative, I think, for what you've done in terms of how you've interacted with them. You've given them false hope. You said you basically said I'm going to be your knight in shining armor. I'm going to come along and I'm going to save you. I'm going to do my best to save you. And it was dead from the start. There was no way you were going to save this person when the DMs were leaked. No way.
I have an absolute hero complex. I can admit to that.
See, like I said, it doesn't really help his case. I mean, it already showed that he had an attraction with her and got distracted. I mean, like, a lot of it was unprofessional. Like I said earlier, he tried getting into the cult right away. There was no prepping or planning, and he was clearly biased with, like, his views on it. So it is very clear that this was definitely a huge mistake on Jar, and I really don't know how he's going to go about this going forward, because his credibility got really messed up. Because even if Cindy wasn't a groomer, the thing is, he still, like, gave in to an attraction and having a biased narrative. So his credibility is basically just shot through the window at this point. Now, there was something that did happen that genuinely surprised me too. One of Jar's old friends would come right out of the woodworks and have a confrontation call with him, and that is none other than Lio Convoy.
Anyone who knows my actions in the commentary community knows I regularly went to bat for Jar. I was there to give him advice. I mitigated and mediated conflicts he had with other creators, among other things in relation to his actions on this platform. I did this because I honestly thought Jar was just severely socially awkward, and I thought he could be better in multiple ways if he just had a decent guide from someone that actually cared.
So this segment is not going to really focus on Lio Convoy's internet presence, just merely this one call that he had with Just a Robot. And I will also be filling in any context to anything that they referred to in the clips I use. So there was also another thing I did disagree with Jar's video, and he made the claim that Cindy couldn't have groomed Eno because Cindy's a straight woman only attracted to men. Now, Lio Convoy is about to go into that with his own experience, saying why that is completely wrong.
So Jar, you said in there that there's no way Cindy could have groomed Eno because Cindy is a straight woman attracted to men and Eno's a girl. My grandfather was straight too, Jar. Didn't stop him. Didn't stop him with me, didn't stop him with my uncles, didn't stop him with God knows who else, who will never in this mortal world get justice for what happened to them.
I didn't know that.
Well, unfortunately, several thousands of people do now, because I had to put that out. I didn't want to, but I had to. And I did tell you, Jar, I told you in a voice message on my mobile alt that happened to me.
I remember you saying it happened to you. I didn't remember it being your grandfather.
So just to fill in a couple gaps of context, the reason why Lio Convoy said I had to come out with this is because somebody already leaked it. This is not the first time he's talked about it. Apparently, someone did leak it to other people. But not gonna lie, considering that Just a Robot and Lio Convoy were pretty much good friends for a good time period, it is actually insane to me that Jar would still make that point, despite having this knowledge already in the back of his head. Now, Lio does get into a lot of things with Jar that are unrelated to the situation, but just important to note is just a lot of dramas that he's had, controversies he's had, and basically their personal friendship a lot. Now, a point that he also talked about was that Lio was a little upset with something that Jar said. Jar pretty much said in this video he didn't go to Lio because his reputation's in the dirt. I do get that perspective a little bit. However, if someone's reputation's in the dirt, that doesn't mean that they can't have an opinion on a situation. And the only reason why I'm going to highlight that is because if these guys are really friends with each other, I don't think you would care about the online thought process of them if you're going to ask him something as a friend. Now, the context for this next clip, which, I mean, there's definitely a long story with doodle tones, but Jar did make a video on doodle tones, and Lio is pretty upset about it.
You made that entire video about how she's a lol cow and how you love being in this community because you feast on the autism. Welcome to the farm, Jar. The truth of the matter is, you weren't the farmer. You're just a slightly larger cow. And now you're learning that. You always thought that you were, what was the word you used? An anti-lol cow? You're not. Anybody is a lol cow. And I hate having to use that term, because that is a term that takes away any nuance at any part of somebody's humanity and reduces them to a bunch of goofy things. But anybody can be one, Jar, if enough microscope is put on them. You, me, your parents, your pastor, if you had one, you need one, and a whole slew of other things. That's all that matters. You have to learn to start treating people like people, because Jar, you don't.
To make a long story short, there was a whole thing that happened with Lio and Hopeless Peaches, where Peaches would eventually end up taking advantage of Lio Convoy and manipulating them and gaslighting them and taking everything that they're worth, pretty much. I mean, just for one example, there was a time that Lio Convoy got them a drawing pad, which was over $8,000, and they only got this for them because they were really close to them. And this is an example, I guess, of how Peaches would take advantage of Convoy. And extremely long story short, also Peaches had a whole downfall recently, which was at least a few months ago, because they were a part of a server that had a lot of bad stuff going down in it. So essentially, Lio Convoy was going through a lot. They tried to reach out to Jar, And Jar, even though he was a friend, just kind of ignored Convoy for months and would only go to Convoy if he needed something. So that's kind of like what he's referring to by like saying Jar doesn't treat people like people. I mean, I guess there's times that he just treats people like tools and connections and stepping stones rather than an actual individual. But yes, that aside, let's get into the next clip.
Jar, I've said this before, I'll say it again, you need to go to therapy. Not just for the paranoia you have, but also for your genuine anger issues.
I know. My roommate has told me multiple times that I need therapy, and I just can't afford it right now.
That's
but
fine.
I do.
Again, go ahead.
Every time I go to bed and I'm about to fall asleep, I just feel angry about sometimes things that have happened 10 years ago, and sometimes I feel like revenge is the only thing that keeps me going. And what I did was so stupid. I mostly just wanted someone in my corner because Peaches was gone. Your reputation wasn't really that great.
So what he just admitted right there is that he was only really helping Cindy just so that he could use Cindy in the future to help him with any problem that he has in the future, because he needs allies. He doesn't treat people like people, he treats them like tools, and he saw Cindy as an opportunity. And what doesn't really make sense to me is if you didn't go to Lio because his reputation is in the dirt, then why are you helping someone who's seen publicly as a groomer? Like, if you genuinely cared about a reputation being in the mud, wouldn't a groomer's reputation just be obliterated? But I think even just him saying revenge is the only thing that keeps him going very clearly shows he needs to take some time offline, have some real world activities and some real world friends, because clearly he needs to reassess his world values and beliefs, and really just need to fix how he operates and treats people. But on that note, I'm going to end the video here. I hope that you guys really enjoyed this. If there's any more coverage I could talk about it, I'll probably make another video or make another tweet on my Twitter. But thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed this, remember to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. But thanks for coming to the A Space, and I hope you guys have a great day.
We all got internet personas we hide behind. We all got demons deep inside us, we try to hide, an eye for